You know, I'm in the studio today and I'm getting ready to deal with a very popular and controversial subject. You know, there's so much Candace Owens and turning point controversy going on, and then we've got Israel and anti-Semitism. It's like a battle is going on like I haven't seen in so long. And I'm still waiting for the Christian community, the church world, to get the punch that it needs to be able to deal with this. But, you know, the health of your mind, the health of your spirit in this year starts off, I believe, with the health of your body. That's why in January, from the 15th to the 17th, I'm going to be down in Florida with sunny Trump Durrell with a group panel of smart experts on what you can do physically. Many of you are still struggling with infirmities, afflictions, brain fog. You have a need to make sure that you're operating at your optimum capacity. That's why I want you to go to healthsummit.us. That's Health Summit, SUMMIT.us. And you'll find out what Dr. Peter McCullough is coming up with in his research and solutions for folks that are around vaccine shedding phenomena that's getting into your own body. Dr. Simone Gold, Jordan Rubin, Dr. Neil Goodman, Chauncey Crandall, Doc Darcy. It's going to be a powerful time. I have an extra day, a mastermind, by the way, with Ed Rush and someone who's brilliant in financial health for investments that are right now the source of incredible increase for people that are on the inside track of what's going on with real estate in the United States. That's a bonus day. But whatever you do, January 15th through 17th, come join me at the Health Summit at the Trump Durrell. That's Lance's, it's going to be my smart health, smart medicine, intervention for America. HealthSummit.us. I'll see you there. Look, we're living in strange days, folks. Who would have thought that even still, even with the strong, Trump movement going on, that we have, I just read yesterday where there's a 6th grade class where the big brouhaha is the whole assembly for 6th grade was on how to trans and know if you're transing. It's not over yet. Who thought we'd live in a day where men think they're women, women think they're men? I could go down the line of bizarro stuff, but it doesn't stop there. There was a day after World War II, when it was, Life magazine was showing the horrors of the Holocaust. I mean, George Patton threw up when he went through the concentration camp. He was so, he was a tough general. He got sick when he saw what was this satanic, understand something. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven is the Lord's Prayer. It's in order to stop Satan from doing his will on earth as it is in hell. And when you look at some of history and you pull back the dark pages of what is the experience of humanity, peace is a relatively unusual thing. Most of humanity is a world of cruelty and war. And you look at what it looks like when the devil gets to do what he wants to do, right down to mutilating children's genitals. And that doesn't even talk about the abortion, 9th month termination of a child. And then you have those stupid governors and politicians that have the audacity to say, well, if the mother has the baby, we put them over here in an incubator and decide what to do with them afterward. Like maybe kill them if the mother doesn't want them. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're in a weird period of time. That's why my backdrop here is Israel. Curiously, I'm dressed in green like I coordinated this. It's an accident. I got UFOs behind me. If you pull out the camera, you got the Illuminati over here. You got conspiracy theories. Somebody just texted me the pentagram or the Israel sign over here, right? Or is it over here? How do I do that? It's over there. Okay, there it is. So the Israel 6-star of David, and they're writing to me. This is from Stephen in Acts 7. The God of Remphan and your God and your stars and your idols in the heaven. So I went and studied it, and I realized that 6, 7, 8-sided, stars and objects have been around in the occult world from the Old Testament. The pentagram, is like the satanic one, and then of course the 6-sided star. Right away, well, that's Israel as part of the God Remphan, the Old Testament. And I got to check it out. It doesn't show up till Prague in 1300. That's when the Jewish community said this would be a symbol. a symbol of the for the Zionists. Trying to hook that into the Old Testament in order to make it an idol is the desperate effort of the conspiracy anti-Christian, anti-Zionist Christian community. These are Christians are sending me chats that are talking about, well, that's an idol for, Stephen was talking about. No, it wasn't. Oy vey. So, I think it's time that we just did a real quick check out here. Israel, Jew, Hebrew, is mentioned in the Bible. I mean, you want to get rid of them, forget about the Jew. Only mentioned what? I did a check, 2,860 times. You understand? This is a book written by Jews. The New Testament church founded by Jews. The Messiah is Jewish. The mother was Jewish. And the 12 apostles, Jewish. And this is a movement. And the Bible, Paul said, hey, man, I grieve over my countrymen because the blindness has come over them until the fullness of the Gentiles comes in. You catch that? And then when the Gentile harvest, the number of souls, whatever that mysterious number is of souls that get saved, is done, boom, history flips back to the Middle East, and then all of Israel shall be saved. What part of Israel? All of Israel, all that remains of Israel. And according to some of the horrific end-time teaching I've been under from Chuck Missler and others, I think a third survive in Jerusalem, or a third is wiped out. I think Zechariah says that a third of them shall come through the fire, meaning that Jerusalem will end up sieged by the nations, of which right now the anti-Semitism is setting up the United States to do a stupid thing and side with the delirium against the Jews of 7 million of them there in the Middle East, this little place the size of, what, Holland? And the whole world's going to go crazy over the Jews. And it's already started. The virus is already hitting the Christians. And undiscerning Christians who don't have any kind of spiritual covering over their life, that think they know everything, their pride is the easiest thing for Satan to hook in, because they think they're onto something by, they hate Israel. It's a virus as weird as transgenderism as anything I've ever seen. It's all over the place. I mean, it's in your world. I know it is. And probably some of you are going, well, where's Israel in the Bible? Like I said, I gave you the number. Only 2,860 times. This is God's story about starting off with man falling, finding his Abraham, beginning the movement of a tribal people that become a nation, and then God's promise to the world through that nation, and then going back to deal with that nation. Where is Jesus returning to? Trenton, New Jersey? He's coming back to the Mount of Olives. Why that GPS? I wonder why. Why does he care? I don't know. Maybe it's because it's the new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. The Jesus who's the Lion of the tribe of the Yehuda, the Jew, is going to reign on his throne forever, with 12 Jewish gates, I guess, for the 12 apostles. It's all named after them. Wait, how much sugar can you get? This is crazy talk. My Christian friends are coming up. Anyway, it's popular now because it's a spiritual thing. It's like a virus. It's like Candace Owens. You don't know how it got there, but there it is. Hey, I got to stop for 1 second, but we're going to be right back. I got something coming in January at the Trump Doral with all of my favorite doctors. I got a whole group of medical experts going to talk about making you maha healthy. You're going to make you healthy and going to make you wealthy and make you wise for the race of your life, because we're not going to lose. Last year at this time we were celebrating. This year at this time we got a wake-up call, but we're going to win this battle and not lose. Go to lancewallnau.com/wellness, and you'll see why Wallnau is doing a wellness conference January 15th through 18th at the Trump Doral. Listen, it's cold up north. Come down to Florida. All right, lancewallnau.com/wellness. Save your seat. All right, so let's take a look at Genesis chapter 12. Feeling feisty today. I'm sorry if this is not what you wanted to talk about. It's Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And I'm actually very happy today. I want to go to Abraham here, chapter 12 of Genesis. Now the Lord said to Abram, not the Ham yet, get out of your country and your family and your father's house to a land that I will show you. Hey, get a Bible. It's good. Dust off the old coffee table Bible there and join me here. Genesis chapter 12. The first book, you can't miss it. page 22, if you got my Bible. And I will make you a great nation. What? I'm going to make you a great nation. This is before they had real estate. Before they had territory. God's going to lead Abraham to the real estate that we call Israel today. And God says, you know what? I'm going to make the deal with you, Abraham. I'm going to make you a nation. Now, this is the reason why this God moving on from Israel is so interesting. Because God said, I'm going to make you a nation. I'm going to bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. I'll curse those who curse you. Now, there's an interesting thought. There are curses and blessings in the Bible. I've got a whole series coming out shortly on blessing and curses under, I think I'm going to call it Deliver Us from Evil or something like that. Or He Came to Deliver Us, I think is the title. The main thought here is there are a number of specific curses, and they have manifestations. It's going to be a best-selling series after I get it out because it's cyclical. These things come through the church world every now and then, and they excite people because the number of infirmities and sicknesses and illnesses and things that are afflictions that come through the biblical course of blessing or cursing, opening a door for the demonic or closing a door on the demonic and opening a door for heaven so that the supernatural blessing of God or, unfortunately, the spiritual cursing that comes from opening a door for the occult, for perversion, human sacrifice, blood sacrifice, idolatry, the number of things that open a door simply for demons. I don't know. Everybody talks about America's in a spiritual battle. Well, politically speaking, some people use the language because they can't explain any other language. I mean, you got a trans, homosexual, demonized guy shoots Charlie Kirk, in spite of what you're going to hear out there about the other stories. Antifa, Trans-Tifa, the movement there, which is the militant Antifa tied to the bizarreness of the transgender agenda. And you see the death of your young preachers. What I'm trying to say is there is spiritual warfare, but you ain't got a clue if you don't understand demons. Take it to its logical next step. Half of Jesus' ministry was casting demons out. You don't see that much today. I don't know when the last time was you watched my favorite Christian TV programs that had demons coming out. Everywhere Jesus went, he's casting them out. So much so, his enemies, the Pharisees, said, well, it's obviously a signature aspect of his ministry, but he's casting them out by the devil. They couldn't even not acknowledge it. He was doing it. They said, that's proof that he's working with the devil. He's got so many demons coming out. Where are they today? I guess we don't have demons in the United States. We're far too sophisticated to have devils. Well, I'll tell you, there's devils right now. It's called doctrines of devils. Doctrines of devils are teachings of devils through mouthpieces that are false prophets, false teachers, influencers on the internet, and they love to poison your brain. So get ready. You got a whole new generation of them. Freedom of speech has, that same computer that can give you the gospel can give you pornography too. So you got to manage the technology or it'll get into you and open up the door for curses. Am I making myself clear yet? I'm going to make you a great nation. So God is going to make this guy a great nation, Abram. He's going to be the father of this Jewish people. And I'm telling you something, God's covenant with Abraham, according to the Apostle Paul, and the covenant he made with the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I don't know why God would describe himself as the God of three Jews, unless he has a particular plan for that people. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And by the way, we're all up there in heaven now. He's the God of the living, not of the dead. And they're all saying, hey, man, we were faithful in what we did. We gave everything we got. You're going to hold your end up. And God says, I have an eternal covenant with Israel. And that covenant is going to be to bring a deliverer. The deliverer comes through, Jesus. Jesus comes to deliver us. He goes, blesses all the nations with the gospel. But then God swings back to his original people, his own real estate. And Jesus says this, you waiting for the second coming? I got a real revelation this year. It was kind of an aha for me. When will Jesus return? Well, the disciples asked him that. And he said, when this gospel of the kingdom is preached in all the world, then shall the end come. And what is one of the conditions of that at fullness of time. I said the full Gentile harvest comes in. That's in the Bible. When the fullness of the Gentiles comes in, my producer will put that scripture in the lower third for you when they edit it. And then, God will turn back to the Jew and the blindness will come off of them. But what will be required by Jesus before he shows up to finally deliver them and deliver them from the nations that surround them, forces of Antichrist nations? Going to have one interesting period of time when that happens. What's going to be the thing that catalyzes his return? When they say, Jesus said, I will not come back until they say, they being the Jewish remnant alive in Israel, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. When they say to him, they will look upon him whom they have pierced. Prophecy from Zechariah. But 800 years before, piercing was a common, execution practice of the Roman government. They will look upon him whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him as for a firstborn son. And then they will say, basically, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who represents God, our Messiah, Yeshua. I was wounded in the house of my friends. Jesus cuts him a break. He says, I was wounded in the house, but you're my friends. Reconciles, like Joseph being reconciled to his brethren. The Old Testament story of Joseph. Joseph is a type of Jesus who's reconciled to his brethren. This is God's desire. And then the end consummates with King Jesus, the tribe of Judah, the Jewish Mashiach, ruling over his global dynasty. It's a wild theology, but it's the Word of God. If you're going to be a Christian, you might as well quote it right. So what's going to happen? God's got an eternal covenant with Abraham. Nations are going to be gathered together against Israel. Where is that, Brother Lance? Glad you asked. I haven't had my notes with me. Let's see. I got it here somewhere. Genesis 12:3, I will bless those who bless you, and curse those that curse you. Genesis 27:29, cursed everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you. That's called a double whammy when you get the same verse quoted twice. The Lord says in Zechariah, whoever touches you, speaking to Israel, touches the apple of my eye. God takes anti-Semitism actually as a personal attack. All who rage against you shall be ashamed and disgraced. Those who war against you shall be as nothing and perish. Isaiah 41, verses 11 and 12. God says, I'll contend with them that contend with you. Isaiah 49, verse 25. And what's the great sin of the nations? That they're brought down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. They're brought down. The word Jehoshaphat means valley of judgment. It isn't necessarily talking about a specific geography, though there is a valley of Jehoshaphat. God says, I'm bringing them down to the valley of judgment because they scattered Israel and divided up my land. Joel chapter 3, verses 12 through 16. They divided. Whose land is it? It's my land. God has that one piece of real estate. Everybody hates and everybody's after. It's a spiritual thing. It's my land. Well, the final judgment comes about as the nations surround Jerusalem. Zechariah says, and I will gather all the nations to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and there I shall deal with the nations. So the nations come to this valley. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 2, behold, I make Jerusalem a cup of trembling to all the nations around about them, and they shall be in a siege, both against Judah and Jerusalem. And those are the locations in the country. And the government of Israel is going to be the government that they're all up against. And they're coming after them. And when will this happen? Well, this is what makes the Bible so interesting. I got some friends of mine telling me, forget the Old Testament, just, No, you don't forget the Old Testament, knucklehead. The Old Testament reaches all the way into the New Testament. The Old Testament's quoted 300 times directly by the apostles and 1,200 times indirectly by all the writers of the New Testament. The Old Testament isn't done away with. People say the nuttiest things to me, and they say them in chat threads. I know that I know that most people know they're wrong, but nobody who wants to talk about this stuff, who wants to deal with it. I want to talk to you about the nations historically that have opposed Israel. Nations that have opposed Israel. Because if what I'm saying is true, then we should be very careful about how we approach dividing up the land of Israel. And by the way, that doesn't mean we agree with everything that the Israeli government does. People always throw that back. Oh, so you gotta like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson. So that means everything you do, you gotta side with Israel? No. Israel was stupid enough to accept our LGBTQ movement. They made Tel Aviv the homosexual capital of the Middle East. Imagine how shocked I was coming back from a prayer convocation meeting in Jerusalem, and there I'm in the airport. Welcome to Tel Aviv, the magazine says in the seat in front of me. Tel Aviv, the homosexual capital of the Middle East. Oh my God. No wonder the Muslims think they're all reprobate and, declare jihad. That's the homosexual. Where did they get that from? The United States. We sneeze and the world catches a cold. We got our stupid movements and they show up everywhere. Anyway, I don't curse the United States because I didn't like Barack Obama and Joe Biden. I don't curse Israel because I don't like their present government. I don't curse it because I don't like some of their policies. But I certainly don't want to pray against or take part in the destruction. When you got a family member that goes off, you intercede for him. You don't say, God, kill him. I want nothing to do with him. America first. I actually look at Israel and say, blessed is he who blesses you. Do you have any idea maybe how the extent to which mercy is on the United States? Because Cyrus Trump, who I predicted would be called Cyrus, actually rose up and put the embassy in Jerusalem. They tried to kill him twice, put him in jail 4 times, bankrupt him. Boom, he comes back as president. Now, I would say, blessed are those that bless you. I was upset, actually, when Biden came in. I said, Lord, after all that Trump did, after all he stood for, I'm calling him Cyrus, and Israel never had a better friend. And look, he got Iran going nuclear, and I was all upset about everything falling apart. I thought, what about blessing those that bless you? This guy, more than anyone, has honored your name and honored Christians. My God. He tweets out, Nigeria better stop killing our Christians. The secular community doesn't know how to handle it because he's calling our Christians. Even the MAGA, anti-Israel people shut up on that one and said, well, evidently, don't fight him over. He's not being all America first on that subject. It sounds like he's ready to fight everybody who's against our Christians in Nigeria. But I love it. Anyway, God was so obviously, dare I say, God knew more than we knew. And he let those 4 years metastasize in such a trauma unit of pain and failure and corruption and dysfunction that America finally said, God help. Or maybe they didn't say God help, but they certainly said Trump's better. So he's back in now. But my point is this. We're hearing all of this anti-Israel, and so I may not agree with it. But frankly, I don't got any problem with Bibi Netanyahu. Everybody else is like, Bibi. It's because this latent anti-Semitism pops up. Israel can't control the United States. They can't control what we do. But by the same token, we don't want to harm. Do no harm. Isn't that the Hippocratic Oath? Do no harm. Unlike pharmaceutical companies, do no harm. So we don't want to do harm. We want to help in every way we can. Not at the expense necessarily of our responsibilities to our own nation. No ruler is put into office in order to take care of another country at their own expense. But you don't have to do it at your own expense if there's a blessing in helping Israel. So I don't get what's wrong with the theology, mostly my Catholic friends, who don't understand there's no curse in helping Israel. There is a blessing. And all the nations will turn against it. God help us when America does. Dear Lord, we're living on a mercy right now. We deserve judgment. You realize that we're in a worse place than communist, heathen China doesn't even believe in God? Because they don't have the gospel from door to door, wall to wall. Charlie Kirk's memorial service, boom, everybody in America can see it. So if we reject, to him who has shall more be required. To him who much is given, much shall be required. That's the verse I'm looking for. And if you got this much freedom and this much truth and you sin in the face of it, You got more judgment. Frankly, the heathen, the atheist countries that don't even believe in God, have been Marxistly indoctrinated and don't even know if he's real. No, they've got less guilt than us who know the truth and still act like heathens. Anyway, God gives in the Old Testament the exact geography for Israel. Its distance ranges all the way up into modern-day Syria, today in Lebanon, all the way over to the Euphrates River, bordering Iraq, Iran, and all the way down, skirting Saudi Arabia and shooting across the Nile to part of Egypt. It's actually the promised land. God promised a lot more. You know what? I did a geographic summary of the land God promised Israel as a nation, which I'm not sure how they're going to get it until the Messiah comes back and reallocates, judges the nations, as Matthew 25 says, and he judges the nations and deals with them then. But their land mass is the size of Texas. Their actual territory is the size of New Jersey. So it gives you an idea of how much. So no, not only did God promise Abraham he was going to make him a nation, not only did he make a promise that preceded the geographic location of the place, and then God led Abraham there, offered sacrifice and established the territory. Joshua sent there and then conquers in specific geography God gives them to occupy that land. Long before there were Arabs, Palestinians there, the Jewish people, it was under the Empire of Solomon, was their territory. And God is watching over that now, but the land has shrunk. And I'm going to come back in the next segment. I'm going to tell you what happened. Churchill, with a stroke of the pen, eliminated 85% of the territory that was given and designated for Israel at the end of the Second World War. He created an area called Transjordan. No Jew could live in Jordan, but Arabs could live in Israel. Then with a stroke of a pen, the United Nations went and reduced it down to only 12% of the territory they were allocated because they wanted to make room for the Arab communities. Now they're in 12%. The United Nations did it. Churchill did it. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you about the nations that have carved up God's land and what happened to them when they did it. That's going to be the next broadcast, and you don't want to miss it.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world